Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome United States Senator Lindsey Graham.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100
Thank y'all. Welcome to Pickens. Thank y'all for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a bunch. Well, you want to find something in common? All right. Thank y'all. Thank you all very much. Welcome to Pickens County. A little bit about this county. Just calm down for a second. I think you'll like this. Pickens County has more Medal of Honor winners per capita than any place in the nation. I was born in this county. I live 15 miles down the road.
This is my video update from Larnaca, Cyprus on this Sunday morning, July the 2nd. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with South Carolina. Lindsey Graham, who was speaking at a Trump event the other day, and boy, did he get booed. He got booed by a crowd in his own state of South Carolina. Actually, I think during the speech, Lindsey Graham said that he was born in the very town that this Trump rally was being held. He said he has a house like 10 or 15 minutes away from this town, and he still got booed. Americans do not like Lindsey Graham. His home state of South Carolina, they do not like Lindsey Graham. How in God's name is Lindsey Graham still a U.S. Senator? It's one of those mysteries of the world, I guess. I don't know how he is still in the Senate, because outside of his colleagues, his neocon and neolib colleagues in the Senate, I can't think of anybody that actually likes this man. and Trump, after Lindsey Graham was booed off stage, and he was booed off stage, Trump got on stage and he actually started to troll Lindsey Graham, and he was telling the crowd, oh, take it easy on Lindsey. He messes up all the time. He makes all kinds of mistakes and stuff like that. I mean, Trump was actually trolling Lindsey Graham when he was booed off stage. But yeah, that's Lindsey Graham speaking at a Trump rally. Trump I guess Trump is using Lindsey Graham for his influence in South Carolina, knowing full well that Lindsey Graham is not liked by the people of South Carolina, and Trump uses him for his connections and for I guess his fundraising ability in the States, and his access to money. I imagine that's why he's got Lindsey Graham there campaigning for him. But he also mocks Lindsey Graham in front of the MAGA crowds, knowing full well that the actual people, they don't like having Lindsey Graham campaign for Trump. So Trump is playing an interesting game there. Lindsey Graham, he's playing an interesting game as well, because he aligns himself with Trump, while at the same time he would like nothing more than to prevent Trump from getting the Republican nomination and from becoming president. So a lot of politicking going on from both Trump and Lindsey Graham. But the reaction of the people in South Carolina clearly shows that They do not like this man, and they do not like what this man stands for, which is more wars, more neocon wars, and more American interventions in places that that the people of South Carolina do not want to see America intervene in. And Lindsey Graham, he's pushing for escalation in Ukraine, and the people of South Carolina obviously do not want America escalating in Ukraine. So Lindsey Graham, a very unpopular figure, but for some strange reason, he remains in power. And Macron, he's also a very unpopular figure, but for some strange reason, Macron remains in power. And all of France is in some sort of civil war type of footing. It seems. It seems like France is pre Civil War, pre revolution stage. You had the yellow vests, then you had the other protests for the pensions, and now you have these protests. And with each successive protest, things are just getting worse and worse for all of France. And Macron, he continues to be disinterested in everything that is happening in France. You just get the feeling that Macron wants to be somewhere else, and he refuses to fix the problems of France. He refuses to accept any responsibility. And in a statement he gave the other day, France said that Macron said that the problems in France are due to social media and to violence in video games. And then Macron announced that he's going to give another 5 billion euros to Ukraine. I'm just joking. I made that last part up, that he's going to give 5 billion euros to Ukraine, but I wouldn't doubt it. It wouldn't surprise me if Macron came out the other day and the next day or two and said, you know what, people of France, I know that there are problems. I know that everyone in the country is going through hard times. I know that everyone is unhappy and upset. But I just want to let all the people of France know that I've decided that the best way to fix the unhappiness and the dissatisfaction with my government and everything that's going on in France is to give 5 billion euros to Zelensky. I could see Macron actually coming out and announcing that. But yeah, it's all the problems of social media and video games, according to Emmanuel Macron, a very unpopular politician, someone who's disliked across the globe, but for some reason he remains in power. And wasn't it Macron who just last week was saying that the Russian government and the Putin regime, he said, is fragile? I believe that is the word that he used. It's very fragile, and now is our time to cause a regime change, a revolution, an uprising. Macron was very excited about everything that was going on in Russia just last weekend. For him, that was the opportunity to cause revolution. Well, boy, did karma act really, really quickly for Macron and against Macron. It took just three to 5 days for karma to act and to really stick it to Macron and his government after his comment about Russia and the Putin administration being fragile. It looks like Macron is the one that is fragile. It looks like Macron's government is the fragile government. And if there's going to be any revolution and any regime change, it's going to be coming to France. Maybe not this time around, but mark my words, the next protest, which is going to be right around the corner because Macron is going to make some bonehead move or something's going to happen, courtesy of his bonehead administration, the next protest is going to be even worse. And sooner or later, the Zelensky curse is going to catch up with Macron and he's going to be out. And I think Macron's going to be happy. I think Macron's going to be relieved to not be president of France, as long as he he's awarded with some position in the European Union or the WHO or the World Bank or the IMF or something like that, Macron is going to be happy to not be president of France. And we're going to probably see the presidency of Marine Le Pen. I don't think that France can make it to 2027 when the next elections are scheduled for. I think it's 2027. I don't know if France has that kind of time to wait for a new administration. We'll see. It's very difficult in the French system to remove the president, but if there's any country that can figure out a way to get it done, I think the French can figure it out. Anyway, the Polish Prime Minister, Morawiecki, the Prime Minister of Poland, he actually trolled France and Macron for the unrest that is happening in France. On Friday, the Prime Minister of Poland, Mr. Morawiecki, he uploaded a video clip on his Twitter page in support of Polish-backed plan called Europe of Secure Borders. The video depicted French streets and cars engulfed in flames, with rioters smashing store windows. The pictures of utter devastation contrasted with peaceful and tidy Polish cities bustling with life. We do not want such scenes on Polish streets, the caption in the video read. So here you have one EU country trolling and mocking another EU country, a powerful EU country, perhaps the second most powerful country in the European Union. France, next to Germany, is the second big power in Europe, being mocked by Poland and by the Morawiecki administration. Be very careful with these trolls that you're putting out there, Mr. Morawiecki, because from what I understand, Poland is also on the cusp of some instability as well. Some instability could be coming Poland's way as well, because the Morawiecki government, they're not making any friends either in the European Union or towards the east with Russia. They seem to be antagonizing a lot of countries under the belief that the USA will always have Poland's back no matter what. I don't know. I think you're putting all your eggs in a basket that is known to dump allies when those allies' interests no longer serve the neocon and the neoliberal elite in Washington. So I think Poland is playing a very dangerous game. They continue to press Germany for 1.3 trillion euros in reparations, and there's a large sector of the German establishment and the German population which is very unhappy about this constant pressing for 1.3 billion in World War II reparations. But there are reports. I have to say this to everyone watching this video. We are getting reports that perhaps this constant nagging of Germany and the Olaf Scholz government for 1.3 trillion in reparations to Poland, it's actually gaining some traction. And it looks like the Olaf Scholz government may actually fold to some of these demands for reparation payments to Poland. Germany's ruling Social Democrats, the SPD, are ready to solve the issue of war reparations with Poland, according to Arkadiusz Mularczyk. That's a tough name to pronounce, Mularczyk, the Polish Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister in charge of the issue of war reparations, who spoke to Remix News' Oliver Bout during a meeting in Warsaw yesterday. Mularczyk was informed that in the Olaf Scholz-led coalition government, the SPD at least understands the problem and wants to solve it in some way in a formula of dialogue with Poland. And now that doesn't necessarily mean that Olaf Scholz is going to hand over 1.3 trillion in reparations. But, you know, if there's any German leader weak enough to actually agree to give over a big chunk of money, which Germany doesn't have, to Poland, it is Olaf Scholz. Olaf Scholz is that weak chancellor, that weak leader of Germany who might actually fold to pressure from Poland and give over some sort of cash payment to the Morawiecki government. It would not surprise me. And if you thought that AfD is gaining popularity now, can you imagine if the Olaf Scholz government actually caves into to these demands and hands over, I don't know, 500 million or 700 million to Poland? Boy, AfD's polling numbers would hit like 40%, like next day, if that were to happen. But we are getting reports that this is a possibility. It could happen. But the other thing that Poland is pressing for from the collective West, from the United States and from NATO, they are pressing for nuclear weapons. Poland wants to have nuclear weapons on Polish territory, and this is catching the attention of a lot of people. One person who commented on this just yesterday: Poland's request for nuclear weapons on Polish territory is none other than Dmitry Medvedev. And let me pull up his post on Telegram. So Poland, actually, let me give some backstory to this. Let me find the quote here from the Polish authorities, and then I'll read you what Medvedev said regarding Poland's push for nuclear weapons. Here we go. So, speaking to reporters in Brussels on Friday, Prime Minister Morawiecki said, and I quote, "Due to the fact that Russia intends to deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, we are appealing to NATO to allow us to take part in the nuclear sharing program launched in 2009. The NATO nuclear sharing program has seen US B-61 nuclear bombs deployed to various locations." That's a loud motorcycle. It's seen US B-61 nuclear bombs deployed to various locations around Europe, and Poland wants to have these nuclear bombs deployed in Poland. So Poland wants to be part of NATO's nuclear sharing program, and here is what Dmitry Medvedev said. "Given that only patented degenerates are gathering in the Polish leadership today, the request to deploy nuclear weapons in Poland threatens only one. Such weapons will be used. Finally, to the joy of all the madmen, even with the understanding that the final decision will be made by the senile overseas. But there is also a positive side to this. Morawiecki, Kaczynski, and other evil spirits will disappear, while others will disappear, alas," wrote Medvedev on his Telegram. Not making many friends, Poland, not in the EU and not in the East, in Russia. Actually, Poland is an interesting story that not many people have reported, but actually Poland arrested a Russian hockey player. And not many people are reporting about this. They say that this hockey player was a spy and they arrested this guy. Let me give you some backstory here. Moscow wants Warsaw to immediately provide a comprehensive explanation for the arrest of a hockey player on allegations of espionage, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Friday. "We have sent a strong protest to Warsaw," Zakharova said, adding that the Russian embassy in Poland will find out all the circumstances of the incident and render all necessary assistance to the detained citizen. Poland's Prosecutor General Zbigniew Ziobro announced on Friday that the athlete was arrested earlier this month, adding that this makes 14 Russian nationals detained for espionage so far. While Ziobro did not name the hockey player in keeping with Polish law, the media has identified him as 20-year-old Maksim Sergeyev, a defender for UKS Zagrył Sosnowiec since October 2021. According to the Polish authorities, Sergeyev was scouting critical infrastructure facilities in several regions of the country. He was detained on June 11th and faces up to 10 years behind bars if convicted. Wow. So the Polish authorities are saying that this 20-year-old hockey player who plays for, I imagine this is a Polish professional hockey club, who's a defender for UKS Sosnowiec, that this guy was playing hockey while part-time he was scouting critical infrastructure facilities and sending that information back to Moscow. That is quite an allegation, quite a story from the Polish authorities, and I wonder which country in the collective West ordered Poland to arrest this hockey player on these allegations. What country could it be? This really reminds me of the what was her name? The WNBA player, Brittany Griner. It kind of has that Brittany Griner feel to it in a way, doesn't it? An athlete arrested for various charges and facing prison time, and no doubt there's going to be some sort of negotiations or some sort of prisoner swap to take place in the future. Maybe this is the U.S. getting Poland to arrest this hockey player as a kind of FU to Russia, kind of message to Russia for what happened with Brittany Griner. I can definitely see that. Poland is pissing off a lot of people in a lot of countries. They're even upsetting France. They're partners in the European Union. All right, I'm going to move from this little playground that I'm at because the kids, they want to play. And I'm going to seek the shade of this small little palm tree right here. All right. You need some shade because it is another hot day here in Cyprus. So that's an interesting story that not many people are reporting, which is the arrest of this Russian hockey player. So let's see here. What was I going to transition over to from Poland to Mr. Burns? Let's talk about CIA Director Burns, who came out with this interesting quote. CIA Director Burns: "Underneath all this propaganda is a growing dissatisfaction with the Russian leadership. This gives us a unique opportunity to recruit new agents, and we are not going to miss it." And he's referencing the Prigozhin affair, which has left the Russian government very fragile, according to Macron. Very fragile, the Russian government, as is the Macron government. But I don't see Burns talking about a need to recruit spies in France. Though I'm sure the U.S. has a whole bunch of spies in France. Maybe Macron is one of those spies, but they're still hoping for some sort of regime change to come out of the Prigozhin affair, aren't they? They're still hoping for that regime change because they know that the regime change is the only thing that can help them to win this conflict in Ukraine. Without regime change in Russia, there is no chance to win the conflict in Ukraine, and they understand that. You know, the protests in France, I've seen videos of the protests actually spilling over into other countries. Belgium, Switzerland, they now have protests taking place. Europe, the EU, it's in tatters, I'm telling you. It is in tatters. So the dream of regime change is still there, but one dream that seems to be fading is the dream of Russia running out of weapons and running out of missiles. The CSIS, which is this DC think tank, I think it's the Center for Strategic and International Studies, maybe? Is that correct? The CSIS. I think that's what it stands for. They put out a paper, a document, an article, whatever these think tanks do, a policy paper, and the title is "Russia Isn't Going to Run Out of Missiles." Oh, the whole Russia's going to run out of missiles thing, finito. Finito, according to CSIS. This is what they say in their article. Russia's continued strike campaign in 2023 has made one thing quite clear. It is unrealistic to expect Russia to ever run out of missiles. Despite sanctions and export controls, it appears likely that Russia will be able to produce or otherwise acquire the long-range strike capacity necessary to inflict damage upon Ukraine's people, economy, and military. Ukraine's air defenses have performed remarkably well under challenging circumstances. Nevertheless, the Russian military has continued trying to identify gaps and seams to exploit to gain an advantage. There is no one-off fix for the problem. Sanctions and export controls can at most limit the quantity and quality of strike assets Russia can acquire. The most reliable counter is sustained Western support for Ukrainian air defense forces for the duration of the conflict. The continued steady provision of air defenses into the foreseeable future will save lives, reduce costs of future reconstruction, and help end the war more quickly by enabling Ukraine's counteroffensive in the face of superior Russian air power. Moreover, providing air defenses has also forced Western countries to scale up production of these systems, which could have long-term benefits for Western defense readiness. So this is a promotion, this is an advertisement for the military-industrial complex, specifically for companies in the MIC that produce air defense systems, the Patriot systems and stuff like that. So obviously, these guys at CSIS are getting funded by the air defense manufacturing companies, and they're promoting these air defense systems as the wonder weapon that can win Ukraine this conflict. But they are also admitting that the narrative, the dream of Russia running out of missiles is just that. It's a dream. It's wishful thinking. So there's a bit of truth. There's a lot of truth to this policy paper, but there's also a lot of selling, and they are selling and promoting the air defense systems, which in turn fund these think tanks. So expect the Biden White House and the collective West to start investing a lot in air defense systems. I believe Poland actually made a large purchase of Patriot systems. So CSIS is doing something right. Job well done, CSIS. You got Poland to buy a whole bunch of Patriot systems. Now let's do a clown world, and we'll wrap up this Sunday video. I think I've covered quite a lot of ground. Germany reports record capital flight. We have a video on the Duran, which will go up today, where we talk about German deindustrialization. I think they had 150 billion euros leave the country, and only something like 10 or 20 billion euros invested into Germany. And now everybody in the collective West media, they're using the word deindustrialization, the deindustrialization of Germany. But we talked about German deindustrialization about a year and a half ago. That was the term that we used, deindustrialization. And now everyone is saying that the deindustrialization of Germany is happening. So let's do two clown worlds. And my first clown world is courtesy of the UK Sun. And Putin was traveling the other day. I forgot where he was, but he was traveling around the, I believe he was in Eurasia, and in the Eurasian states, and or the Caucasus or the Eurasian states. Anyway, he was at an event, and there was like this, not a whiteboard, but like a tablet whiteboard. I don't know what you call it, like a massive iPad, I guess is the best way I could describe it. And he drew a picture. He drew a doodle, a doodle, right? And we have a doodle expert now from the Sun who claims that what the Russian president drew on this giant screen, this giant tablet, shows that Putin is cracking. He's very fragile, and he's about to crack. And so the Sun, they interviewed this doodle expert, a leading graphologist and doodle expert, Tracy Trussell. She said that Putin's drawing exposes a paranoid, depressed, and anxious leader, as the style of drawing taps into our subconscious, releasing all those repressed thoughts and emotions which comes spilling out of the back of our minds. Doodling allows us to tune out and siphon off stress and tension. It helps us to process difficult emotions. It is also deep thinking in disguise, because it helps us to focus and clear our minds and potentially drum up light bulb moments, like a brainstorming device, she said. And so she talks about the wide open eyes in Putin's doodle. She explains that the large right-looking eye gives an insight into how Putin is already planning ahead. The big, wide open eyes are observant and cautious. They are all about seeing and being seen, but they also symbolize a paranoia of being watched, she added. She talked about the angular smirk. Although the cartoon style of a smiling face gives an appearance of a man who is trying to convey congeniality and a sense of humor, someone who is determined to remain upbeat, someone who wants to come across as a people's person, someone who is warm, chatty, and empathetic. The drawing's smile reveals a darker meaning, according to the expert. The smiling mouth has an angular smirk or tick in the corner, revealing his tenacity, which is now tinged with anxiety and impatience. And she goes on and on. Let's see. Do you guys want to hear more? Let me read you a little bit more. The shape of the face. She says the face is full frontal and quite large in size, revealing confidence and a self-centered, attention-seeking nature. This is all about who he is in terms of rank, dignity, and prestige. And he's utterly egocentric and narcissistic. And she even talks about the red pen. The use of a red pen. The tyrant drew his bizarre cartoon using red ink, which could reveal hidden secrets around his behavior, the expert claimed. The use of a red pen is also significant and tells how Putin is courageous and passionate about his cause, and how he could be daring, impulsive, and impatient. Wow. Pretty interesting stuff, I have to admit. The caricature can also conceal sadness and reveal how the doodler is trying to put a brave face on things. So what would a Macron doodle look like? Let me know in the comments down below. What would a Macron doodle look like? Or how about a Van der crazy doodle? Or a Biden doodle? I wonder what a Joe Bidenapolis doodle would look like. Can Joe Biden doodle? I don't know. What would a Morawiecki doodle look like? A Justin Trudeau doodle. Oh boy. That's a good gig to be a graphologist. That's a pretty good gig. Anyway, let's do one more Clown World and we'll wrap this video up. And this Clown World will be a quick one. This is coming from Newsweek. Is Putin replacing under fire defense minister with Steven Seagal? So a friend sent this to me, and he writes a message to me and he says, Clown World? Question mark. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Clown World material. All right. This is Clown World of the Year material. So Newsweek, a very respected collective West publication, right? They report that Russian President Vladimir Putin is allegedly considering veteran Hollywood star and Aikido expert Steven Seagal as a replacement for beleaguered Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. This is according to a number of Iranian outlets which reported the news on Monday night, apparently citing the Russian state news agency Sputnik. And then they talk about Shoigu and Wagner stuff and Prigozhin and all of these things, and Gerasimov, and how Putin wants to fire these guys, or he's about to fire these guys, and it looks like the next defense minister for the Russian Federation will be Steven Seagal. And I think Putin has given Seagal Russian citizenship, hasn't he? So yeah, Steven Seagal, under siege, hard to kill. Steven Seagal could be the next defense minister of Russia. That would be pretty cool. I have to admit, that would be pretty darn cool to see Steven Seagal as defense minister. Yeah, why not? Why not? I'd be for that. Anyway, that's the video, guys. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop. Use the code GOODDAY. Pick up a hat. Pick up a t-shirt. Pick up a bag, a backpack. Got all kinds of good stuff on the Duran shop. All right, everybody, have a great Sunday. Free Assange. Free Pablo Gonzalez. Free Gonzalo Lira.